Hey, it's Dr. Bob Flower, and today is Monday, February 27th, and this is your Missed Pattern Report. And we have a special guest with us today because today is my sweetheart here, my wife of many years, Angela, and today is her birthday. So we
As
wanted
well as.
we wanted to introduce you. And speaking cosmically, it also happens to be the birthday for my grandson Brody and my granddaughter Bria. All three of them born on the same day. A few years apart, but all on the same day. This is my sweetheart. Okay.
Cut.
Goodbye. All right. See you later. Okay, folks. Let's get down to some serious business here. I'm going to talk a little bit. You know what? Let's talk about the market first, and then we'll get into some philosophy that I think may be interesting and stimulating to some of you, if not annoying to a bunch of you, perhaps. But last week we had talked about. We said we didn't have anything for silver last week, and damn it, that afternoon, and we put this up on the website Tuesday, right, Janet? And there was a chart here which is on the website. I know it's very difficult for you to see, but I just want to indicate something to you here. This is a master pattern silver chart, and there's an indicator here. You see where these two cycles are intersecting, and I've drawn a little red curve there. Well, what happened last week is we only had the one cycle. Then what happened after that is we were doing some further work, and we found the second cycle, and they both intersected at the same point. Now, when that happens, insofar as the master pattern, when the two energy cycles coincide, there's always this accelerated response. Okay, and now that was the indicated date there was, and you'll see this again on our website, February 22nd, which is the day, one of the 2 days that silver took off. I think silver was up over $1 that day, $1.25, something like that. We missed it for Monday, but you'll see that it's up. It's up on the website. It was up on that Tuesday. But that's an indicator of how we know that we're going to have a bigger than ordinary move. That's one of them. All right. So look for that on the on our master pattern website. Now we have another indicator here that part of the master pattern that we use, and this is a little different. What this does is it gives resistance bands as well as turning points. All right, now our turning points are extremely accurate. Again, go to the website and you'll see these. Janet, can you get a good shot of this so these people don't yell and scream? You'll see that there's these little green arrows that are pointing up and little red arrows pointing down, which indicate bottoms and tops. Okay? And then the lines going across at given points are resistance points. This all comes from our master pattern. All right? Now, on this particular patterning, this is silver, by the way, you'll see that we have 6 resistance points up on top at the 1356 level. The next level down of resistance is there are 4 at 1288, and that's right here. You'll see them with the numbers. Okay. Now, one of the things that we've discovered with the market as well as energy of any type, even human behavior, is that the universe is always seeking balance. Okay, so even though you may have an extreme here, and it looks like that's going to be dominating for centuries. It turns out there's another extreme here, right? And what this is indicating is that we're going to see at some point in time here uh, a downturn into the lower resistance level. Now, it may not be that level, but that will certainly be the first level. And that will be our first indicator as to how much lower the market will go. So, here's the thing. As you see here, once again, you see that there's a breakout here over this period of time, which is it's about 3 months. And so that this is indicating to us that this is a pretty strong move, and we're going to see further upside on the S&P. Right, I'm sorry, on the S&P. So now we're looking at 1404, 1407 as perhaps the peak, and we since we're thinking that that the market's going to do a reversal here in the beginning of March. This action may come fairly quick, all right? It may not. We haven't found any other bands lower than 1404, but there may be some. So what we're looking at is conceivably a move up to the 1404 level, and then a reversal back down to the 1356 level, and more than likely a continued reversal back down to the 1288 level, and we haven't examined past that. So keep an eye open for that, and mark that down. Keep an eye on our website, because a lot of this stuff is on the website, and it's much easier to see and to perceive. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. We're looking at some dates this week. February 28th, which is tomorrow, the S&P, and that's looking like it. I think that was an up move. And then March 2nd, silver had about a 62% possibility of a down move on the 2nd. Okay, so keep those in mind as we're going along here. Now let's look a little. I want to talk to you a little bit about socio-political philosophy. And one of the things I want to talk about is what is going on in the country as well as in the world. And here's some interesting things. When this Solyndra thing occurred, they were given $500 million to foster this concept. And here's the difference between a senator being a president and a businessman being a president or a governor. Right? And it's this. You give one company $535 million. You could have given 535 companies $1 million for their research, and into different areas. You know, perhaps another Google, perhaps another Amazon, perhaps another Groupon, or what have you. And in many cases, $1 million is more than enough. Perhaps instead of 535 companies across the country, it could have been 1,000 companies at $500,000, or an average in there. There's an old adage in economics: you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Now I know $500 million is not all of our eggs, but it's a pretty big egg, and it's not a smart move to do these things. And you're seeing more and more. Today, I think there was something about a $200 million company that was laying off 300 of its employees. It's a energy type company, electric energy, uh, and others 118 million a couple of weeks ago that went belly up, trying to force a new concept doesn't work. You either have the technology or you don't. And every engineer, electrical engineer that I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot because I wanted to invest in these companies if they were worthwhile. They said, Dr. Bob, the technology just isn't there yet. That's why you're having problems with these electric cars and whatnot. He says they could be 5, 6, 7 years away. The lithium battery is great, but it's not going to do it. And now the president comes out and says, holds up the bottle and says algae. We're going to use algae. We're going to okay, eat it. We have resources that we are not utilizing for whatever reason, and they're not valid because it's not fair that people are paying $5 a gallon gas, which it will be very soon, and Secretary Stephen Cho says that $8 gasoline, as we're seeing in Europe, seems to be about right. Now, it may be about right for them, might be all right for the administration, but it's not all right for people in business. It's not all right for people who are working people. I mean, this is going to knock the hell out of not only their budget, but the nation's budget. We have to pay more for goods for these rising costs, or you make less money. And right now, the way they're cutting between taxes and regulations, it's not feasible. Now, there was a show on yesterday, Sunday. John Stossel. I love this guy. He's a nut. He's a libertarian, but he's a lovable guy. And he comes up with all these interesting concepts and thoughts and whatnot. And this show was called about amazing illegals and all of the illegal things that the governments hold against the American people, right? And they had at the end of the show, they had legal prostitutes from Nevada, and John was talking to these gals and saying, asking them, well, it's like slavery, and they're saying, no, it's not slavery. We're doing this of our own will. We enjoy what we're doing, and we're making a lot of money. One girl used to be a securities agent. She was making 6 figures, and she said, she gave it up. She didn't like the hustle and the bustle and the strain and the hours and whatnot. So she went into legal prostitution, and she says, I'm doing just as well, if not better, and I'm enjoying myself. Then he brings on this prosecutor, a female prosecutor, who says, no, we've got to do away with prostitution. This is not good. I mean, this is not good values and whatnot. And there's a point there. She's right. But moral values are not something that can be or should be legislated. All right? Regardless of how you feel about what the act is, it's not right to do that. So the girls were arguing with this prosecutor, and she was saying, I'm going to save you. And they're saying, we don't need saving. We like where we are right now, and this is all right. The end result was the prosecutor turns and says, even though what I'm doing may cost you your freedom, I'm going to do it to save you. And ladies and gentlemen, that is where we are at with our current government. our current administration. They're telling us what's good for us. They're telling us they're going to save us. No, they're not. No, they're not. And to that end, what I want to do is I want to read something from one of my books. Um, this is a Revolution in Understanding. This is my second book, Discovering Your Natural Intelligence. And I want to read to you a passage by a famous psychologist, award-winning psychologist, current day, by the name of Abraham Maslow. You may have heard of Maslow and Maslow's dogs and his experiments. And Maslow has a very interesting philosophy about life, which I mean to tell you that I totally agree. It's in my book, and you may or may not agree, but listen to what he's saying and what I would like to say about it. Maslow says that the problem of pitting good against evil results in what he calls unrealistic perfectionism. Perfectionism. Okay? Maslow believed that the history of the struggle to find a utopia reveals many unrealistic, unattainable, and non-human fantasies, such as let us love one another, let us share equally, treat all people equally in all ways, nobody should have power over anyone else, the application of force is always evil, and there are no bad people, only unloved people. These amorphisms of goodness, all of which shun the existence of opposites, are unreasonable expectations that, when acted on, invariably lead to failure, apathy, disillusionment, discouragement, hostility, and so forth. How can they not? For they are rooted in an incorrect view of the design of nature. And my four books are based on nature. My dissertation was based on nature. In fact, I did five theses for my PhD, and every single one of them was based in the concepts and principles of nature. And one thing that people forget about nature is nature has a polarity to it. You know, I mean, you have your beautiful sunsets, but then you have your tornadoes. You got your gorgeous, beautiful seas, but then you have earthquakes. You know, there is no such thing as just this, just the good, just, you know, no pain. You know, tell an Olympiad that there's no pain. What is he going to tell you? He's going to tell you you're not an Olympiad. You're way off. Of course he is, because it's unrealistic to expect to achieve something at such a high level without going through what you have to go through, which is polarization, endurance, you know, pain, suffering, you know, agony, apathy, disillusionment, whatnot. These are all parts of life, and the liberal philosophy that is trying to take hold in this country, and they're doing a pretty good job, is such that people are failing because they're not trying. They don't know what the path to pursue will bring them. And I'm here to tell you that each one of these books is a scientific expose into nature and its relationship with human behavior, human thinking, and socialization, politicalization, and whatnot. And what we need to do is we need to have a model on this planet, but especially in this world, in this country, that is above humankind. You can't follow the rules of mankind because they're skewed one way or another. What we need is a model that is superior to mankind but inclusive, and that's nature. And you can't be afraid to follow this model, even though it's going to tell you things that you may not accept, you may not believe, you may be fearful of. Right? And most people act or don't act out of fear. Right? We then come into the nature of, of human behavior concerning what we call the great restrictors. And basically, there are four. There are more, but there are four basic ones. These are four things that stop us from achieving: fear, ego, ignorance, and self-deception or deception. Okay? And by ego, I mean overly prideful. Put yourself as the center of the universe. Okay? Any one of those four, or all four of them, are always engaged. Whenever you see a failure, whenever there is a failure, whenever there's restriction, principally, it's one or all or two or three combination of these factors, and it's nature that presides over the perfect life, so to speak. Maslow, even though I don't believe in a utopia, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't work towards a utopia. It's a noble cause that's going to bring us to a higher standard of life and living, right? And it's something that, if you apply not only personally but in your business life, in your financial life, you'll see things develop at a much higher level. Right? I don't believe that we are engaged in this country in this type of dialogue. And I would welcome the challenge from anybody, especially the politicians, as to their merits, the merits of their thinking as compared to what I'm espousing here. Right? We cannot continue along the way we're going. And we've talked about different ways in which we can take back our country and gain control and whatnot. Folks, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because, unfortunately, there aren't enough people out there that are going to work at it, make it happen. And consequently, it's going to fail. And we are. We're going to fail. We're going to turn into a much lesser society. We're not going to have the things that we cherished, especially those who are a little older, in the 50s and 60s and 70s. The things that we grew up with are going away. And the things that the people in their 20s and 30s, they still haven't awakened yet. They don't realize that how wonderful, how great things were 20 and 30 and 40 years ago, 50 years ago. What a wonderful society we had from those who were attempting to achieve more in that respect. Were things better? Yeah. Worse? Yeah, there were things that were worse then. But the spirit that people had, especially in this country, were far greater than what you're seeing today. Today, and we discussed this before, it's not how can I be like that person and achieve what they're achieving. It's how can I take that away from them? How can I steal, in effect? How can I sue them? How can I do this? How can I swindle? Whatever. I don't choose to be in that type of world. And maybe there's nothing I can do about it, but I'm certainly going to try, and I'm willing to take on anybody who who's a sane mind, um, do whatever I do, and I do. You know, do lectures. I help people who I believe in running for different offices or try and get appointed to different positions in governance and whatnot. Um, but it's certainly not enough. Um, but it is a move in the right direction. And if you think that the economy is going to get better because uh, the government is going to take care of us, or that corporations are going to try and satisfy us in some way, you're sadly mistaken, because as Maslow said, there's no such thing. That's not human nature. That's not what's going on, and that's not even nature itself as a science. That's not what's going on, and you're not dealing with it, and you may be suffering or depressed or humiliated or whatever you may be encountering right now because of these utopian concepts that we have. You know, everybody's equal. I'm sorry, everybody's not equal. I mean, come on, hey, I know I'm going to hear this from you people, but it's true. It's true. We're not all equal. We can be. We can be, but we're not. We have to work towards it. And some of us will never achieve that. There are things in life that I would love to have been, but I, I was on another path. There's no way I'm going to achieve it. Even I'm not going to go and try and take it away from somebody else. I'm going to try and work within myself to make myself better. And it's the same thing with being equal, being fair or whatnot. You can try and be fair to people, but try and define fair. What's fair for you may not be fair for the guy down the street. He may think it's fair that when he asks you for some money and you give him $5, he may say to you that I'm thinking about 500. I'm not thinking about $5, but you think of $5 is fair. I mean, come on. Then we start getting into relativity and all this. No, no. Come on, let's get real here. And, once again, it's a call to action. That's a call to develop potential. That's what I'm all about. That's what I stand for. I hope and I think that a lot of you stand for that. And I would love to have a conference where we could all come together and we could just punch our way through this stuff and live that reality as we're talking about here today. Well, you see, that's what being married to a perfect person does for you. Get you in this state of mind. And my wife and I, by the way, been married many, many years, over 40 years, and it's never been utopia, but it's been damn close at times, and it's because we work at it. We work at it, and we try and make the other one our objective, not ourselves, but look at how can I help her. She looks at how can I help me. We don't count. This is the number of times you did this. This is the number of times I did that. You owe me too. That's not the way we function. You may find that it works for you, but it doesn't for us. Life is great, but you got to take it on its own terms, folks. It's the human mentality that screws it up. Let's all get together. Have a good week.